There we go. There you go. So the WNBA, the All-Star game is on July 19th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. There are going to be free public art activities that are pretty much centered closer to Gainbridge Fieldhouse, between Gainbridge Fieldhouse and the Convention Center along Georgia Street in Bicentennial Unity Plaza, which is just to the north of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And then there are going to be some activations, probably up around Monument Circle, and then possibly down farther a little bit, just a little south, maybe between Monument Circle and Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We're still working that out right now. So if you want updates, and it's very exciting if you get on these lists, go to https://fever.wnba.com/25-WNBA-all-star. Or you can visit the website. It's http://WNBA-All-Star2025.com. So these are things that you can do to hype yourself up. But of course, I'm here to talk about the Tamika Catchings mural. So you may be thinking, why are we doing a portrait mural of Tamika Catchings? Those of you who are basketball fans know that Tamika is an amazing player, multiple record holder, 10-time WNBA All-Star, Rookie of the Year, her first pro year, which I do believe Caitlin Clark also just got. She spent all 16 of her playing seasons with the Indiana Fever, so she's very, very much associated with us here. She led the Fever to the 2012 WNBA Championship. She's a 4-time Olympic gold medalist, 5-time Defensive Player of the Year. And she is also, in addition to all of these amazing basketball honors, she is also a philanthropist. She runs the Catch the Stars Foundation, which does a lot of good work in the community. She is an entrepreneur. And she has 3 Tease Me Cafe locations, and she's very active in basketball leadership, and she's very interested in player development. So if we were to pick one person that really epitomized everything that the WNBA stands for, it is Tamika Catchings, and I really don't think that anybody else would argue with us. So I'm showing you 2 pictures of Tamika. There she is in, I believe, her rookie year, and then what she looks like now. She is a wonderful person, and I am 90% sure that whoever wins this commission will get the opportunity to hang out with her, do sketches, maybe some live reference portrait sessions. So very exciting. The timeline for the project is this. Your application deadline is Sunday, February 2nd at midnight. We always do our calls expiring on Sundays at midnight. It's going to take a couple of weeks to select finalists. After that, if you're selected as a finalist, you will be paid to do a design concept, and that is due in about a month after you get selected. We are going to be doing some public design presentations and community engagement for this project. So we'll be setting that up for you, and that'll happen end of March, beginning of April. By the middle of April, you will be absolutely contracted and on your way. If you need to tweak your final design, we'll give you feedback on that. You have until the end of April. The reason why it's so early, even though painting is the event is until July, is we need some permitting time. It takes about a month to get this permitted. So we're leaving a month, the whole entire month of May, for permitting. And then at this point, it's really up to your schedule. We have a fairly large window for painting between June 1st and July 10th, and we will work with you as far as the specific dates that you need during that time, leaving about 5 days for final coating to cure. And then we're anticipating a dedication event on July 16th. So this is a pretty accelerated timeline, and it's super, super exciting right now. So are you eligible to apply? So we're looking for professional artists. You have to be over 18 because we can't contract with anybody who isn't over 18. You have to have completed at least 2 outdoor murals in the last 5 years, and you have to do portraits. So we are looking for someone who's pretty experienced in both murals and portraiture, and ideally portrait murals. Very important. And we also want to make sure that you guys can get liability insurance. So if you've been ever told that you can't be insured for whatever reason, this is not the project for you, because that insurance is a requirement. And then workers' compensation insurance. It depends on what your home state is. For example, here in Indiana, you can file for a state issued exemption if you're a sole proprietor and you do not have to host workers' comp insurance for yourself. But of course, if you have employees, you do have to hold workers' compensation insurance. So we will talk to the finalists about that, and we will talk about what that means, and we'll work with you to make sure that you can get the insurance that you need. We're also looking for an apprentice artist, and this is something that the Arts Council does. We always try to pair an emerging muralist with an experienced muralist or a lead muralist to try and increase local capacity for doing these very large, very prominent civic murals. So if you are over 18, you've been working for 2 to 5 years, no more than 5 years, because we really want you to be at the beginning of your career. And you've had not more than 2 paid mural commissions, then you are eligible to apply as an apprentice artist. And there is a checkbox in the application whether you want to be considered for the profession, the lead artist, the apprentice artist, or both. As I mentioned, this is a national call, and there is all kinds of interest happening for this mural. If I were to say who the ideal applicant was, it's someone that has a record of portrait murals, certainly of portraiture, but portrait murals especially. We want you to be very skilled at outdoor civic scale work. It's best if you have a defined and signature style, because we want to brag on you. We want to say that we have a mural by you in our city, and having a signature style helps that. We want you to be able to listen to community stakeholders, because there are a lot of people who have a lot of interest in this mural. We are working with the Indiana Fever team and Pacer Sports and Entertainment on this. There is also the WNBA All-Star Host Committee, which will be part of this, and of course, Tamika and her team as well. So we really want to make sure that you can listen to and balance the interests of all of these people while still making it an amazing artwork, and not just a portrait, but an artwork as well. And I know that you guys on this call, you are professionals, and you know by now that people ask for something literally because they don't know the words to ask for what they want metaphorically. And this is where you as artists come in. We want someone who can listen, interpret, and use your skill to create something that is even more than what people literally asked for. And I'm showing as an example a mural that we did last year. We worked with Anna Murphy from Chicago, and she had a really, really hard task. She had to respond to a committee of almost 40 people who spent 6 months figuring out a list of about 40 individuals who were important to Indianapolis in the last 200 years. And she had to figure out a way to integrate all of those portraits in a way that made sense and looked gorgeous, and became a landmark for the city. And this is in Bicentennial Unity Plaza. So this is, and I'll be happy to talk a little bit more about this mural later, but this is an example of someone who did just that. She gave portraits, which is exactly what they want, but the way she organized them and the story that she spun around them and the way she created the setting for all of them was just absolutely brilliant. And that's what we're looking for in this. We want high quality portraits, really, really high quality portraits. We're trying to convey Tamika's legacy. Obviously, we want the portrait to be realistic. We want to get a sense of her personality. So we're looking at a holistic look at who this individual is, not just as a basketball player, but as a human being. You have to be very, very, very absolutely skilled at doing portrait work at scale. and compensating. This is likely to be very high up. So you have to understand how people are going to be looking at it, and then compensating in your technical skills, obviously. We're looking for someone that has a signature style and approach. And the two examples I'm giving you are, the Dr. J mural in Philadelphia could be done by no other than the great Kent Twitchell. And then this portrait of Najee, who is a citizen that's working with a community group in Philadelphia, was done by the similarly signature styled Amy Sherald. So we want to make sure that you get to be you in these portraits. It is not necessary to put any text on there. My feeling is that text is not going to be legible. So it's really the portrait that's going to have to be telling the story here. So this is what we're looking for. This is another example. No one can mistake a mural by the great Cobra, but when he's doing a portrait of Bob Dylan, he decided to do it in a way that really encompassed different eras, different styles, different, sort of telling people who he is, giving people a sense of his personality, without sacrificing his own artistry and his own style at the same time. So that's what we're looking for this. So assuming that you're getting super excited about this, here's what you should be pulling together. So you should pull together some contact information about yourself, and this is your name, or if you're working with the team, the names of your team, the address of a contact person. I don't need an address of everybody on the team. I will need everybody's names, but just your lead art, just your key contact person's address, phone number, social media, website, all of that. Just how can we get in touch with you? You're going to be asked for some biographical information. This, you can type it into the form, or you can copy and paste it, or you can upload a separate document, whatever you have. You can do that. You'll see when we talk about the application form that you can do any of that. This is something that you may or may not be familiar with, is you have the space for a little statement of interest. It's not very long, but we want to know, why is this project interesting to you? If you have any connections to the Fever, the WNBA, or Tamika Catchings, or any of her ventures. And if you don't live in Metro Indianapolis, what are your connections to Indianapolis? Do you have any familiarity with Indianapolis, or have you worked here before? Do you have a piece here? Just let us know what your connections to Indy are. There's going to be a section, and we'll get to it, where you get to check off the equipment that you've used for murals and the techniques that you use to translate your images to scale. You can use projection, freehand, doodle grid, whatever you want. It's all fine. We just want to know what you have experience with, so that we can make sure that you're a really good match for the site. And then obviously, this is the most important part, images and information about your past work. And we're interested primarily in the things that you've done in the last 5 years. But if you have other things that you've done earlier than 5 years ago that are very pertinent to this, maybe you haven't done a portrait mural for 5 years, but you've done portrait murals, be sure to include those as well. Oh, and on technical passes, any OSHA certifications. So if you have like a lift certification or anything like that, you don't have to give us a picture of it, you don't have to submit it with your application, but just say that you have an opportunity to say, yes, I have certifications and here's what they are, because safety is very important to us. Okay, this is our first question break. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this. So Pablo, you said, can you share the link here, please? What link are you looking for? Pablo, you come off mute. Oh, the one that was, oh, the website, WNBA All-Star website. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, let's move on to how you're actually going to apply. So if you've not applied or with the Arts Council for a while, we have a relatively new platform that we use for all of our grants and all of our artists called. And here's the link. It's http://indyarts.grantplatform.com. Go there. You don't have to have an account yet. If you have one, you'll have the opportunity to log in, but you're looking for this yellow graphic here that says Tamika Catchings Portrait Mural. Okay. So when you go to that grantplatform.com, indyarts.grantplatform.com website, you're going to see a screen that looks exactly like this. So you can, if you want to log in, you can, but you can just scroll down and you can see in the screenshot that the Tamika Catchings Portrait Mural is first. It's not always going to be first. We always have new applications coming and going. Some other ones might be more recent. They're usually in the order that the newest ones, the newest applications are on the top, the older ones are on the bottom, but everything you're going to see on that website is available to apply for. So you're going to find the Tamika Catchings Portrait Mural and you're going to click that blue button that says Start Application right there. If you have an account, the system is going to detect. It's going to detect if you have an account or not. And it's the first thing it's going to do is it's going to ask you for your email because that your account is under your email address. If you have multiple accounts under multiple emails, pick whichever one that you want, but just make sure that you're always logging in with the same one. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to find your application if you want to come back to it. So you log in. If you just type in your email, if it recognizes that you're in the system, it's going to ask you to put in a password. If it doesn't recognize your email, it's going to send a security verification to your email. Just go, you know how this works, find the security number, type it in, and then click continue. And so if you're new, you're going to be getting the opportunity to register. The only things you need to register with: first name, last name, email, and password. Everything else they're going to ask you for is optional. You don't have to put anything else in. First, last, email, and password. And just so you know, I cannot retrieve your password. On the back end, it's so secure that I can't even see your password. I would literally have to wipe that out and send you a new password. But there are other ways if you forgot your password to log in. So there are these other things that it asks for. All of those are optional. If you put them in, then there are some applications that'll actually pull that information from your registration so you don't have to type it in again. But so it's totally up to you. But the most important thing is there are these two little boxes at the bottom of the registration form. You have to do the first one, the I have read and agreed to the privacy policy, cookie policy in terms of service. The second one down here, it's optional, but I recommend that you check it because the system generates a lot of emails such as saying that we received your application or saying that you're eligible to apply. If you check that box, you'll get all of them. You might miss something important if you don't check the box. But I will tell you that notifications, whether you have been selected or not, we can override that box, and we frequently do. Most other system generated emails are optional, but please do it. You might miss something. Okay. And then when you're done and you've decided which boxes you're going to check, click that blue complete registration button and you are done. Okay. If you want, you can do a profile. You don't have to do one now. You don't have to do one ever. It's up to you. And you can always go back to your profile once you log in. You can set it up later. And then you can always do preferences and you can always change your boxes for whichever things you want to subscribe for. Okay. So you've done it, you've logged in if you have an account, you've set up an account if you don't have one, and then this is what you'll see. a number of things. Just make sure that you have applied to the right application. I have had people who applied to different applications thinking they were applying to one thing and not noticing that the questions weren't what they thought. And so I have had to correct them and stuff. So just make sure it says Tamika Catchings at the top. And then down here at the bottom where it says program, make sure that that is also shows Tamika Catchings portrait mural. If it doesn't, click the down arrow and pick it. But I have it set that it is going to default to this. There's a little bit of information for you just to make sure that you're in the right place. And then there's a link. Oh, I'm sorry, the deadline countdown. There's a deadline countdown at the upper right corner that tells you how long you have to apply. This is not live. This is a screenshot. There is actually fewer days now, but there was 59 days when I did this. Into Catchings. And then when you start, you will only see 2 tabs because you have to go through the eligibility screening before you can see the rest of the application. And whatever tab you're active, whatever the active tab is going to be darker, and the inactive tab is going to be gray, and then you won't see any tabs that are not available to you yet. And then you can always download, just click that link and you can download the full request for information, RFQ for the full information. I 100% guarantee, recommend that you do that. A lot of good stuff in there. Okay, so you have Tamika Catchings there. There's one more thing to check, your application name. It will automatically put whatever name you registered to on the platform with. You can change it. You can just click on there, wipe that out, type in whatever you want. It's up to you because you're going to be seeing it on a list. You want to just understand, just be able to identify that application. And then once you've got that taken care of, go to the bottom, click Save and Next, and that will move you on to the next tab. And that's the same throughout the entire application. Click Save and Next, it'll move you to the next tab. And then when you've done that, you can see that tab 2 is dark, which means it's active. And then there are some questions for you. All of these questions are required. Just pick the ones that just answer them honestly. We have some help, all of our application. There's help over on the right in these gray boxes. But just, you know, so the first question is, are you 18 or over? You have to be for this. So click yes. Are you able to get $1 million, at least $1 million in commercial general liability insurance? And then the third question is, can you meet your workers' compensation insurance requirement or document that you are exempt? So these are our 3 application screening questions. Most questions have Spanish translations, and there are a lot of tips in the gray boxes. So answer those 3 questions and then click check eligibility. It's blue on this screen because I did this kind of before the Mural call was active. It's actually green on the screen. So click it. And then when you've answered all the questions, click the check eligibility button. And then you'll get a pop-up notice. If it's eligible, it'll say, congratulations, it's eligible and you can proceed to the next stage. And then just click that confirm button. And then you may also get an email if you enabled notifications saying that that's just your confirmation, but it's really what's on the screen that counts. And then magically you'll see that all of the rest of the tabs of the application form appear once you're eligible. So here's where you go. So you can go, I want to be considered for the lead artist, apprentice artist, everything. All of these questions, there are no surprises. You know all the answers because it's really all about you. We recommend completing the tabs in numerical order. That is just so that you can keep track of what you've done and what you haven't done. But in reality, you can do them in any order as long as you do them all. There's required information on each page. Everything is required unless it specifically says optional. So you can see that this first question, it doesn't say optional, so it is required. So you can type in, pick less, this is all, if it's an opportunity to select a choice, select your choice. You can type in your names, all the information that you have, plenty of information over on the right. You can, if you click to the question, how you're providing your biographical information, if you answer, I am uploading a document, you're going to get a box where you can either drag and drop a file or click the green select file button, and then a directory will come up. You can navigate to it and then click on it and it will be uploaded. There is a maximum file size of 10 megabytes. That's standard across all of the files that you're going to do. And you can 10 megabytes per file, not total for the entire. So 10 megabytes per file. And this is going to be the same on tab 4 when you upload your work samples. It's a drag and drop interface, super easy. Okay. So if you answered that you are typing or pasting information to the form, you're going to get this box. You have 1,000 words to talk about your biographical and experience information in a narrative format. You can copy and paste. That's okay. You don't have to make it up out of your head. But this is the box that you put it in. So how you respond to these questions gives you the interface that you need. Oops. So this is just the very bottom. The next question is about these technical certifications where you can just click the box. You can do any number of them for all of the different technical information and your technical capacities that you can do. And then at the bottom of the page, click Save and Next to move on to the next tab. Don't click Submit Application. There are a lot of tabs with a lot of required questions. And what's going to happen if you click that Submit Application button, you're going to get this red bar if you click it too soon. It'll say, that's not ready yet. Check the highlighted fields and tabs. You're going to see that some tabs may have the red top edges, and all the tabs with red tops have information that you neglected to fill in. And when you go to that tab, the information that you need to fill in is going to be red. So my recommendation to you is to just go in numerical order. Don't skip anything that's required. Just do it. And then at any point, you can click Save and Close, and this will save your work so you can come back to it later. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. You can come back and do it any number of times. So here's something that people have a lot of trouble with, because when you first started your application, you just went to the home page and clicked Start Application. Once you already have an application started, don't do that again, because it's going to give you a whole new form. And you're going to go, oh my God, where's everything that I just spent 2 hours doing? Well, I'm about to tell you how to find that. So if you have started an application, to continue it, log into your account. Don't click Start Application, just log in. And then you'll see this screen. This is your dashboard. It has some information, blah, blah, blah. So, but what you're going to do, if you see this, you're going to scroll down to an area. You're going to go past a lot of these graphics. Don't click Start Application again, because you already have one. You're going to go to My Applications, see right here, and then you're going to see that you already have one in progress. It'll have the form, it'll have your name, it'll say in progress, it'll have all these things. Just click on the blue link under where it says application, and it will bring up the application that you've already started. Okay, gotten that out of the way. I would say if I got one most frequent question, that is it. I started one, where is it? Well, log in, go to My Applications, that's where it is. Okay, so we've done eligibility, we've done your contact and experience information. This is really the heart of your application right here. These are your work samples. So this is where you're going to upload examples of your past work. As a reminder, You can do 5 attachments, up to 10 megabytes each. All of this is in the application form. And it's there for you to read. And the first thing you're going to do before you upload anything is that statement of interest that I was talking about before. So you have up to 500 words to make your statement of interest. This is a required statement. You can't just type in blah, 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 blah. People have done that just to make sure that they fill it in. If I see that, your application is rejected right away. Be serious about this. It is important. People are looking at this. We don't care about grammar or spelling. We don't care about sentences, none of that. Just be truthful and talk. Okay, so here's where you can actually upload your application. So we talked about that drag and drop interface. So you can either click select applications to get a directory, or you can have your directory open and just drag and drop. Now, here's something that's a little bit different. So 5 uploads total, but you can document up to 15 different projects, and you get to decide how you do that. You can do all your portraits in one PDF package, and that's one of your uploads. You can upload 5 individual just JPEG images. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. We like the PDF packages, but you may not have those. You may not have the capability to create them based on your software, but so you do whatever you do. You would do whatever you have. You can also do links to a web page or a video. So if you click add link or video, you're going to type in the URL of a page that you want us to see. Some people on their websites, they have an individual link for each project. That's okay. Add the link, we'll go there and we'll take a look. Don't link to your general website. If you gave us that on tab 3, we have it, we'll look at it. This is your opportunity to say, I want you to look at this particular artwork that I've done, and so that we can go directly to that artwork. You can link to your social media, your Instagram page or whatever. If you do that, just make sure that the setting is public. Nothing frustrates panelists more than going to a link and finding that they're not allowed to see it. So do that on the front end. So once you upload an image, and so I have uploaded this image as an example, there are information boxes for you to type things in. You may not skip them, just like with the statement of interest. You may not add gibberish. You have to provide this information either in the boxes or in the document. Now, if it's a PDF document and it's in the document, you can just type in the document, in the document, in the document, and that's fine. We'll look at that. But if it's just an individual image, you do have to fill all of this in. And then once you do one, a box will pop up for the next one, and it will do that up to 5, and just keep adding uploads. You have 5, 1 is required, everything else is optional beyond that. Just keep adding until no more boxes pop up. Oops, sorry, there. Any questions? All right, we got a question break coming up real soon. And so your final tab is demographic information. We are serious about equity at the Arts Council, and we're absolutely committed to reflecting our community through the programs. So this is a way for you to tell us about yourself. This is about you, the applicant. Everything is required, but there is a prefer not to answer option for each question, and you are not penalized if you choose that option. We will never release information publicly about you personally, so this is not going to get associated with your name. We may report statistics, so we may say X number of people applied, X percent of them I self-identified as Black, Indigenous, or another person of color, X percent of them self-identified as LGBTQIA, etc. It will not be associated with your name, so you can be 100% honest. It is for internal tracking purposes only, and we do not make awards based on this information. Okay, so we asked several questions, and this is about how you self-identify. So we ask about, and then all the boxes you can see they're squares, which means you can check any number of them. So we ask about your race and ethnicity, gender or gender identification, and your pronouns. And we do have non-binary as an option. LGBTQIA plus self-identification, age, and they're in age groups. So click the group that your age falls in, whether or not you self-identify as having a disability, or whether or not you self-identify as a veteran or active military. And as as a reminder, there are these questions you can prefer to self-identify, and you can also prefer not to answer. You can check that box as well, but these are all required. You have to check at least one of these boxes. And then at the end of those questions, there's one more opportunity for you to tell us anything about yourself, which is whether you identify with any other marginalized communities or population, like are you an immigrant or a refugee? Are you living in poverty? Are you unhoused? Are you a religious minority? All of this, we give this opportunity for you to tell us about your story. And you can check yes or no. If you check yes, you will get a box and you can skip it. This is completely optional. You can explain as much as you want. And the reason we do this is that the questions that we had before, those are things that we can compare to how they're tracked on the US Census. This is for stuff that isn't tracked on the US Census. US Census. And that's the last question. So here, review your application. Make sure that you've checked everything, that all the required questions are filled in. At this point, you can save and close, let it marinate for a while. I always do that for my applications. I never submit them right away. I give it a couple of days because I'll always think of something that I should have done. So you can click preview. If you, at any point, you can click preview and you will see your application as it will look to the reviewer. And that's really useful because you can go, oh, wait a minute, they are looking at this image before they see that image. I think I want to flip them. So you can go in and you can make those changes. Or you can just go ahead and submit your application. I remind you, this is blue because I was doing it in management mode, but for you, it will be a green button that says submit application. And then you will get a notice popping up on the screen. If you've filled everything in, all the required items, you will see that your application has been received. All is good. You don't need to call us to verify. This notice tells you that the application has been received. And here's another good thing is you can go back as long as the deadline hasn't passed. You can always log in, go to your application, make changes as long as you click submit after each change. This is, I know people kind of second guess themselves. I'm a big second guesser. So if you're one of those people, we have this opportunity for you. And then if you want to, social media, they've all these programs build in social stuff. But if you want to share with your friends that you just applied, there are multiple social opportunities for you to do that. Okay. If you enabled notifications, you'll also get an emailed confirmation. Again, make sure that you just spent all that time applying to the right program. And then it's a reminder that you can return to your application. You may not get this email. If you don't get this email, it means that either you didn't enable system generated notifications, or sometimes this ends up in your spam box. It just depends on how your system is set up. If you don't get it, it's no big deal because you've seen the notice on the screen. That's what really counts. You may also get a second email that has this unique identifier on it. Again, you get this if you have enabled system generated notifications. If for some reason I can't find your application, you can always give me this little random code and I can find your application through that. But I'm usually able to find people's applications. Okay, and then if you go back to your dashboard where it says my applications, you will see that this is my example for what I just did when I was setting this up. In the column where it says in progress, it will have changed from in progress to submitted. And like I said, if the deadline hasn't passed, you can click on your application again, bring it back up, make any changes that you want, and then click submit application again to make sure those applications take. Okay. Next question break. Is the apprenticeship paid? Yes, the apprenticeship is paid. And it'll be, we haven't quite decided on the amount yet, but it will either be $3,000 or $5,000, and it's for about either 100 or 200 hours of work. So there we go. Any other questions about the application form itself? Feel free to come off mute and ask, or put them in the chat, as is your preference. Okay, well, let's move to the next section. And this is where I give you my tips on how to make a great application. And I have been working with artists applying for stuff for probably 30 years. So I have a lot of good advice for how to make sure that your application is taken seriously. So the first thing that I recommend is that you read the full RFQ document. You saw that there was a link to download it. Go ahead and download it. It's 20 minutes of your time, and there's a lot of detailed information in there that'll help you fill out your application. So read those instructions carefully. Fabulous images. This is also probably, no, it's probably my #1 tip, but good images. Terrible images don't do your work any good. Wonderful images can make your work look even better than it is. So make sure that you understand what a fabulous image actually is. So these are 2 examples of fabulous images. And what they have in common is that they show the whole artwork true to color in a way that also tells you about the street context and where it is. That's very, very important. You want to understand the whole picture of what you've done. This is another example of a fabulous image. It shows the scale because you have some reference things from the street. It shows the street context. The colors are accurate. It's very nearly frontal, but it's okay. You know, nothing is hidden, nothing is distorted. So it's okay to not be perfectly frontal if it's not distorted. And there's no shadows. There are no lens flares. It's just bright. It's not a perfectly sunny day, which is good. You want to take it when it's a little cloudy anyway, because the colors actually pop a little bit better that way, and you don't have any glare. This is, I would say, I'm not commenting on the nature of the mural necessarily, but this is a very good image of a mural. Perfect for an application. This is another great image. It's absolutely frontal. It is perfectly in focus. Perfect balance of foreground, which is the sort of the street context, the middle ground, which is the mural, and then the background. And there's nothing in front of it to block or distract from it. This one had some stuff in the front. You're missing a little bit of detail there. There's nothing like that here. Great, great image. An image like this is less useful when you're applying for a project. And the reason is this: it does not show the entire mural. I don't understand what the context of it is. The angle is distorted, So I'm not quite sure kind of about the technical aspects of it because it's at such a strong angle. And then you have a person in front of it. It's blocking important image elements. So all of this makes this not a great image to use when you're applying for a project. Images like this, where the artist is way to the foreground and the mural is way to the background, don't share an image like that. It is focusing on the artist and not the artwork. The head blocks an important part of the mural, so I can't see what the nature of the work is. The nature of the site has a lot of this distracting vegetation, but if I were to get on the other side of that vegetation, I would probably see more of the artwork. So there are a lot of things wrong with this. I would not share. This is great for your Instagram. This is great for a magazine profile of you, the artist. Terrible when you're applying for a project. Again, similar issues with this one. First of all, if you look at the focus, the artist is in focus and the mural is blurry. So they're using that extremely shallow depth of focus. It's putting the mural is wrong. The angle doesn't show the whole mural. There's some distortion, but the out of focus, the focus difference, and then the fact that the artist is up front and the mural is minimized. That is, again, great for Instagram, great for a news story, horrible for applying for a project. And this is not good for anything. It is very distorted. I don't even know what's going on there. The image is cut off in what I would consider probably a very important element of the mural. So much foreground, all this foreground here. You don't need it. It's obviously taken at a dedication. And parenthetically, why are you doing a dedication when there's you have all these chairs and nobody is sitting in them? That's very weird. And there's a whole lot of just missing street context. I don't know anything at all about why this mural is here and why it makes sense where it is. So this is not, I mean, I see something like this. It's like, ugh, no, that's not a really good application at all. Okay. If you're putting links to your social media, make sure your links are to your art page and not a personal page. And here's an example. The one on the left is a yes. It's all about your artwork. Perfect. The one on the right, we see fashion, we see cat, we see friends. I don't know what I'm supposed to look at if I'm trying to understand whether your artwork is right for this project or not. So remember that. Provide all your requested information. These are things that happen all the time. If you've noticed, I put big X's through them because these are things that are absolutely going to kill your application. If you have information missing, especially if it's required, if you have things that, you haven't uploaded everything yet and the deadline just gets away from you, you're not going to show yourself to your best light. There's a requirement that you have not fulfilled. We've kind of taken care of that with the eligibility, but any of that, it's going to kill your application. Something that's wrong, something that's omitted, and then technical issues. If you're having problems with managing the system itself, call me. I can talk you through it. We can get on a Zoom. You can show me your screen. I can tell you what you're doing wrong. Don't say, oh, I couldn't get the form to work as an excuse. The form works perfectly. I will help you work through the form. This is important. Apply early if you can. I understand that things happen, life happens, and sometimes you might not even hear of this thing until just before the deadline. But the earlier you can apply, the better. And this is why. Two things. One is on you, one is on me. So if you apply early, you have time to think about your application and edit it before the deadline, especially if you submit it 3, 4, 5, even a week ahead of time. And then you think of something, you go, oh, I should have done that. Hey, wait a minute. The deadline isn't here yet. I can go back in and I can make that change. So always apply early. And here's the second one, which is on me. I look, when I have an open call, I look at applications every single day. And if they've been submitted, I look at them to make sure that they're complete. And then if they're complete and ready to go, I have a little button that I click approve, and that means it's going to go to be reviewed by the panel. If I have enough time, I usually stop this about 3 days before the deadline. But if I see something that your application is missing, I can let you know and you can do it. You have time to do that. Something like this, it's not as important, but when I'm reviewing grant applications and I see I see something is missing or something is that your budget doesn't add up, I can tell you and you can change it. Otherwise, if I see it after the deadline, there's no time for you to change. Once that deadline hits, we are on a roll to reviewing it. You don't have a lot of time. So I do not hold the review so that someone can go in and make changes. Apply early. If I see that you need something, I will tell you, you can make that change. And then finally, if you have any questions, call or email me. And this is something where, you know, with grant applications and calls like this, there is always a contact person. And if the contact person has a contact email or phone number, they want you to call them. They don't want you to sit on your questions. It is no shame to ask for help. I had someone contact me several times for this call already, and I was able to help them at each time just to make sure that your application is the best it can be. So my email and phone number are going to be in the next section, but always do this. Any questions, just call or email. Email is preferable. Okay, any final questions that you have before I share my contact info?
Hey, Julia.
Yeah.
If you're applying as a lead artist, can you recommend someone as the apprentice artist?
If you want them as the apprentice, I would say, well, let's see. I would prefer that if you don't want to apply with them on your project team, but you have someone that you think would be good, I would reach out to them directly and have them apply as an apprentice, because we're going to be kind of looking at those separately.
Okay.
So I think there was a question about, do you have the opportunity to choose your own apprentice? To some extent, yes. So if you're chosen as the lead artist, we choose the apprentices after we've chosen the lead artist. And so we can take a look at everyone that's applied as an apprentice, and we can make a match. We can find someone whose style and approach we think is going to go really well with the lead artist, or someone who we believe could learn a lot from that same lead artist. We also, within reason, you know, if there are a couple that we're not sure of, and we go, well, you know, we have 2 or 3, what do you think? If we've already let you know that you're the lead artist, you can choose which apprentice you want to work with from those applicants. So in that way, you have a little bit of a say.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Hi, this is Pablo. I have one question.
Sure.
I believe it was well, I just want to make sure. I think I have the answer, but I want to make sure for this first part of the submission before finalists are announced. I didn't see any specific parts where we have to submit like a site-specific design, right? You're just asking for now for past work. That's it.
No, we don't ask anyone to do any work for which they are not paid.
Thank you.
So no design, you do not need to do it. And in fact, I have seen people, and so I've worked with projects where people did kind of say, oh, I'm going to show some initiative, I'm going to submit a design. And I've had the panel say, you know, I was kind of interested in this artist until I saw this design. And if this is what they're intending to do, we don't like that. So you could actually tank yourself if you do a design at this point, but don't do it. Don't.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's see, what area is the wall? So, if you notice, I haven't really talked very much about the site, because the site is not yet confirmed. We're still negotiating. So, the only thing that I can say right now is that, in the full RFQ, there is an approximation of what the size is and the fee, which is $60,000, and then there is a $5,000, up to a $5,000 travel stipend, if it's necessary. That will be plenty. The wall will be, it is good compensation for the size wall that we have in mind. If we end up, after this negotiation process, if the site is bigger than that, we will increase the offered compensation. But the minimum that you're going to get from this is $60,000, and that is for your labor and your materials. We pay for equipment, so your lifts and everything we pay for. We also pay for site prep and coatings. You don't have to do those. So we'll prime it for you, and then we'll coat it afterwards.
Hey, Julia.
Hey,
Hey, first of all, let me just say, like, that is so freaking cool with this art call that you take care of the priming and sealing and the equipment. I mean, like, kudos. So just
thank you.
had to give you a shout out for that. I just wanted to fully confirm in terms of the images that you're requiring. Angel, shush. There's more, there's a certain amount of uploads, but you can do multiple images per PDF per upload. Can you
Yes.
just
Correct,
confirm that one
yes.
more time?
So you can show 15 projects across 5 uploads. So you can like upload a PDF document that has multiple projects in it. So 15 projects in 5 uploads.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Other questions? Okay, someone in the chat. To apply as a team, do you have to have worked together before? You don't have to. I mean, if you wanted to put together a team, your own dream team of people you've always wanted to work with, you can, but just make sure that they know you're doing it, because otherwise, you know, you can go, all right, I want to work with Banksy and Banksy's on my team. It's like, I don't know. We're gonna verify that. So yeah, just make sure that they know that you're putting them on your team.
I am assuming that the application for the lead muralist and like the apprenticeship is the same. Is that correct?
Yes, the application is the same, but it's just a little box that you check. So you check whether you're applying for a lead artist, apprentice artist, or both.
Okay, awesome.
Yep. Anything else? Okay, if you have a helper, can they be a contractor and not have to be considered for workman's comp? Yes, they can be an independent contractor under you. But you are responsible for collecting their work. I mean, I don't have to see their workman's comp because I'm not paying them. I'm only paying you. But if you get audited by the state, you're going to have to come up with that for them. So, I mean, that's up to you to take that risk or not. And just so you know, we get audited by the state of Indiana every year for workman's comp, and we have to provide either evidence of insurance or a certificate for everybody, or else we get fined a lot, a lot. So hundreds of dollars, like 700 and something dollars. If you don't have one, we get, and that just raises the cost to us of doing these projects. So we're trying to avoid that. Anything else?
I have another question.
Sure.
So I am a large scale oil painter and I'm looking to get into murals, which is why I'm interested in this apprenticeship. Um, I was wondering um, if I should show like the scale of my paintings, or should I just crop them like I normally would and give the dimensions?
I think just giving the dimensions will be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to. But just to, and also one thing that I didn't mention about the apprentice artists is we are going to be choosing our apprentice artists from the Metro Indy area. So if you're from outside of Metro Indy, it's probably best that you're not applying as an apprentice. I mean, if you're not within like daily commuting distance of the site, which is downtown Indianapolis, we're probably not going to be considering you for an apprentice, just FYI. Anything else?
Hey, Julia, I have one more question.
Sure.
And this might get a little bit into specifics, but I'm from out of state. I'm in California, and I'm curious if the commission would be open to the polytab mural process for this project.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because I had someone else call me about that. I think that's one of the things that we're still negotiating with the property owner. At the moment, no, because it's in, so we have historic districts that are controlled by the Indianapolis Historic Preservation Commission, and they have told us that they do not like these polytab murals because they are so difficult to get off, which kind of violates what they're doing for these historic buildings. It will be a historic, the site that we have in mind is considered a historic building. And the IHPC will probably not allow the polytab. However, if the site ends up being different from the one that we're in negotiation for, polytab might be okay. So that's all I can tell you right now without being specific.
Thanks.
And saying stuff I'm not allowed to say yet. Anything else? Okay, well, apply as soon as you can. This is I'm reiterating that. If you need any help from me, this is how you reach me. My email is jmoore@indyarts.org, and my phone number is 317-624-2556. I am telling you though that I am going to be away for the entire month of January. But if you email or call me, there will be referral to another staff member. And I don't know, those of you who are local to Indianapolis might know Kate Oberreich, who is the Artist Engagement Manager at the Arts Council. She is going to be answering all of your questions about this mural. So, okay. If there's anything else, I'm going to stop sharing. And I am also going to stop the recording. Have a wonderful evening. And I'll stick around for a minute if you want to talk to me about your particular application that you don't want on the recording. Otherwise, have a great evening.